to the cold, hard truth on sports.
I apologize in advance if I am out of line here.
Brace yourselves, boys. We're going in.
Am I hallucinating here? Just what in the hell do you think you are doing?
I can't believe you.
I'm not reading, I'm just looking at the picture. Welcome to the cold, hard truth on sports.
Welcome all to another week here of the Cold Hard Truth on Sports. I am your host, Matthew Long. You can find me anywhere on social media at Matt Long Sports. Head on over to the website to see up-to-date new articles on sports, fitness-related, health-related things, all things that we manifest in sports. You know, I was talking with a good friend of mine, kind of about we're looking at some business options, right? And I was talking about, you know, with these business options that we're looking at, how do we go about doing it in a way that is different? So often we see people, businesses, go about things in a way that is just more of what we've all seen before. And that's just normal. It's normal to see what somebody's done and duplicate it. It's normal to know that something works and to try to do it a way that you know that it works. I mean, a lot of time in success, it's not about recreating the wheel, but more so about being able to learn from what other people have done. So that's kind of the problem a lot of times with when you're learning. You go through life, you're trying to learn new things. You're trying to appreciate different aspects of life, and when you're trying to grow. But the thing is there's a lot of mixed information, right? So, do you learn from others, and don't waste time recreating the wheel? Or do you go the method of going the opposite way? And you know, I was talking with him, and it's not a simple answer. But what I can say is you can learn from others and use what you know as kind of a measuring tool of which direction you go in the process of building and carrying out action. So it's a barometer. But the goal, if you're trying to stand out and you're trying to break through, innovation is what does that. And that's kind of the whole recreating the wheel sort of thing. So what we do with the Cold Hard Truth on Sports is innovative in a way, because when you think of sports, most people just think of, you know, players play, coaches coach, fans follow, watch, entertain. But is that it? No. This is why we say we don't. You're not going to go and find statistics. You know, you're not going to find statistics anywhere on the website. Like, we don't keep statistics. There are other websites, reference websites that do statistics. Go there. If you're looking for if you're looking for scores, up-to-date scores. We don't do that. We're not a live scoring site. That's not our bag. There's other places to go that do it much better. But if you're going somewhere, if you want to go somewhere that you're going to find original thought, content, analytics, if you're going to look for more perspective into an event, a player, and so on, it's a great place to go. If you're trying to read articles, on a particular maybe event or player or situation that's going on, and also be able to get more in-depth understanding of fitness or psychology, sports psychology, or motivation, performance, health, nutrition, it's a great place to go. If you're trying to find original content shows like the Cold Hard Truth on Sports radio show, or the Boxing Source, or the Take the L show, or any one of a number of shows and podcasts and stuff that we do, it's a great place to go. TheCHTOnSports.com, and you'll find all those things there. But it is not just run-of-the-mill, cookie cutter, here's stats, over hacking numbers. You're not going to get that. Because our concept of what sports is more innovative. Again, I say find a sports site, go to ESPN, go to Fox, go to Barstool, go to Bleacher Report. Show me where they have the fitness and training. Show me where they have someone that actually is able to go in with athletes while they're training. See what they're doing. Get feedback on what they do. Talk with the people that make the athletes better. And then apply those things on the performance during the season. There's a whole slew in sports that nobody thinks about, that people don't understand. The people that are the athletes. I mean, most athletes, again, they have a celebrity. They have a status. So people look at them on a pedestal. And it's hard for people just to look at them as people. Another person in the line at the grocery store. It's tough. And even especially with people, no wonder people in the media ask and say such silly things all the time. A lot of it's because they have an editor or producer or somebody, or in their mind, they want a quote. A lot of times a question is asked so they can get a quote. They have an idea. See most writers, before they even get to the press conference, they've written. They have an idea of what they're doing. They have paragraphs already put together. And now they're trying to find quotes to put in there to amplify what they've done already. If things go too sideways, now they have to write a different article. So that doesn't mean they have to scrap that one. They can publish it, but now they have to write a different article because the information they've gotten from an interview, which they should do anyways, frankly. That's me. But going into, talking candidly with athletes, with no cameras or microphones and stuff around, is a lot different than putting a microphone or camera or something in someone's face. Most professional athletes really want nothing to do with the media. a lot of it is because things are so overanalyzed. So people spend so much time trying to draw something out that may not be a thing. It may really have nothing to do with life and what's going on. So a lot of athletes don't want to have anything to do with the media. Do I blame them? Not a bit. Not a bit. So again, it's kind of get back to what I was saying. So the idea is try to work towards innovation, but learn and use the blueprints you know and what other people have done before you. You know, I tell people, you know, I talk with people, I read books, I listen to lectures, I try to get on conference calls with people that have far more experience and knowledge than me. Listen, somebody that goes to school and gets a doctorate degree, you can't deny that they're smart. They achieved a doctorate degree. But it's really the person that can draw off of what they've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars in schooling and draw from that without spending money on it. I want to take advantage of people's information, what they know. You know? So, I want to move on with the show here. I got a few messages over here. If you want to hit me up directly, my handle is @MattLongSports, pretty much on every social media platform. So you can hit me up on any one of them, and you'll be able to reach me. The show handle is @TheCHTOnSports, the same as the website, @TheCHTOnSports.com. Let's see here. I'll get to a few of those in a little bit. The number to call in, 347-237-5539. If you want to call into the show and be a part of the show, you can. We're syndicated on several different outlets. You can hear the show live on Blog Talk Radio each and every week, or what I think is usually the best way is actually go to your app store, or where you get you download your apps. I don't know if it's Play, Apple App Store, Play, or Samsung, or what it is where you go get your apps. But there's an app called Spreaker, just like speaker, but it's Spreaker, Spreaker. Download the Spreaker app. It's free. And you can listen to the whole show. Whereas, the first 2 hours is live on Blog Talk Radio, which you can listen to online. But an app gives you a bit more. Range and diversity, and there's no interruption. Whereas, after first 2 hours, we go into the overtime segment on Blog Talk, but it's live on Spreaker. Now, it's syndicated after that as a podcast it goes over on YouTube, it goes on SoundCloud, it goes on iTunes, Somos, a bunch of different places. Like I said, the website, you can go to thechtonsports.com, upper left-hand corner, and click on the Listen Live link over there as well. So, lots of different ways. So, thank you all for doing that. Now, the Spreaker app is new. Okay, it's new for us. Now, what we need you to do is once you go over there, right, just type in the Cold Hard Truth on sports. It'll come up. Or you can go to Spreaker.com/MattLongSports. Either way, it'll come up. And once you get over there, be sure to like, to follow. Click on the follow button. All right? Click on follow over there on Spreaker. Now, we have a certain number of follows we've been working with to syndicate on iHeartRadio. They want to see a certain number of follows over on Spreaker before the show syndicates to iHeartRadio. And that's a big syndication that we're working on. So go over there, click on the follow button over there, and definitely follow us over on Spreaker as well. When you do that, that will following us over on Spreaker helps us work towards being able to syndicate on other platforms. You know, that's what it's all about. So, if you have questions on that or have trouble getting over there, let me know. I should be able to. I'll shoot out a link here on social media pretty soon where you can just click on it to get over to the profile and find it that way as well. Actually, you got it out? It's up right now? Okay, you got it up right now. It's on Twitter and on Facebook. On which Facebook? Okay. You put it on my page. Okay, on my page. So, at Matt Long Sports on Facebook or at the CHT on Sports on Twitter. We'll have it up on the website as well. So, you got the embedded feed, and we'll have an embedded feed for you as well. So we're live over there. We're live on. We're live on Spreaker. So you could actually go over there right now and listen to us live there. So if you're listening to us just on the internet with Blog Talk, you can head on over to Spreaker.com and you'd be able to go to the page, follow us, and you can download the app all in one place. I mean, talk about making it easy, right? Right? So you should see a live link over you see a live link over there. You got it? I'm sorry, I'm just trying to read this too. You got that? So the website, thechtonsports.com. Yeah, we'll get into that. As well as the CHT on Sports over on social media. have not heard back from him. No. Okay. But anyways, if you guys want calling again, the number is 347-237-5539. I need to get into this material. You got that stuff up there? You're all good over there? You're good on your end? Okay. All right, so I want to get into this. Exactly. So, all right. Okay, so LeBron James is officially, they made it official. They made it official. He is a Los Angeles Laker. And, Laker Nation is so excited. Yeah, it's fair to say I'm a Lakers fan. So, I've heard quite a bit about what people think. I heard a rumor that people wanted to start. Kobe Bryant was thinking about coming out of retirement to play again. No, he's not. Kobe Bryant is not going to play basketball. He's done. Done. Yeah, that is if there was something that someone thought up of, a pipe dream. Like literally somebody, after hours of being baked, said, yo, wouldn't that be crazy if Kobe Bryant came out of retirement and played for the Lakers again with LeBron? Wow, the two greatest basketball players of the last two generations on the same team. That would be crazy, man. Yeah. Some people are like, it's just so crazy it might work. Yeah, but it's not going to happen. Would that be cool? Yeah. That would be cool. Sure. You know? I don't know. That'd be cool. What do you pay him? What do you pay Kobe? I mean, they don't mind going to luxury tax, but what do you pay Kobe? $35 million? No, you can't. You're too far over. And why? Why would you have him come back this year? Is Kobe gonna put the Lakers over that hump to beat the Warriors? Because that's what it is. That's what the West is. The Warriors. San Antonio doesn't look viable. Aldridge doesn't want to be there. He's kind of stuck. Kawhi won't play this year. He will not play as a Spur this year. So, can they win without him? They can win some games without him. They can make the playoffs in the West. But I can't say that the Spurs are better than Utah. I can't say that they're better than Houston. I can't say that they're better than Oklahoma City. And I was talking last week. Carmelo opted back in because that's the only place he's going to get that money. So they're going to have to pay him and let him go. Nobody's going to trade for Carmelo Anthony. The only thing Carmelo Anthony gets moving forward is a mid-level minimum. That's it. That's it. It comes out that, people, no matter where he's been, and the three teams he's played for, have had issues with him. Having bad habits, He doesn't take care of his health. He doesn't really seem to take his career seriously. You want to create flow in offense. He butted heads with his coaches primarily because he's a flow stopper. He is, Mike D'Antoni, him and Mike D'Antoni butted heads when he was in New York. D'Antoni's offense is flow, moving, running, pushing the ball, 3 and D. And the D isn't again, it's funny because they don't really play what we would know as defense. And again, the Golden State, we saw Golden State play up-tempo. And that's the crazy thing. Sometimes an offense that is so prolific or proficient could be some of the best defense you could have. Because they push more shots, because they push more plays, because they increase the level of activity, that takes away possessions from the other offense. And that constant flow of momentum is a big part of Mike D'Antoni's offense. So again, Carmelo Anthony isn't a flow guy. He's not going to, at this point of his career, decide, hey, I'm going to start sharing more. I'll take less shots because I want to win. No. Carmelo gets the ball, and he thinks he's going to make every shot. He doesn't. And it messes up momentum. See, again, that same thing, and again, don't take this in the wrong way, has kind of been at times my biggest criticism of LeBron. Killing flow. But LeBron was doing it more out of desperation in the necessity to win, or he felt like he didn't have other people weren't hitting shots, other people weren't moving around, other people weren't making the flow happen, so he presses the issue and tries to control everything. That is why he has stopped flow. It's completely different reasons. Carmelo stops the flow because he's a ball hog. He's a black hole for basketballs. If he gets it, he's going to jack up a shot. And that kills what they're doing. He's not willing to move, plant, pop, shoot. He's better off playing a role like Kyle Korver, or like Ray Allen or Jim Jones. A lot of these guys that we've seen, ironically, LeBron win titles with. But being able to be patient and being in the right place at the right time to hit the shot. But he wants to jack up every shot. But one of the best ways to get open is set a pick. One of the next best ways to get open is pass the ball. If you have something someone's coming after and you get rid of it, they're going to go after what they're coming for. It's usually not you, it's something else. It's a ball. If you get rid of the ball, they chase the ball. Now you're by yourself. It's quicker to pass a ball than to run over and defend the ball or a person. You pass the ball, take a big step back, set your feet, get the ball back, shoot it. Now you're open. See, that's an open shot. Carmelo's not really great at creating those right situations in flow. So I don't see. I know a lot of people are talking about where he really fits is going to be in Houston. I don't really think he fits much of anywhere. I don't really think people want that dead weight. Even at and like I said, if he goes somewhere, it's going to be at a mid-level minimum. He's going to be 5'2", 5'3", 5'5", something like that. $5 million is what he'll make. It'll be a 1-year deal. Not much more than that. And because he's going to want to, he'll do that because he wants to fish for another max deal. If he thinks he plays well, he'll get paid more. I doubt that happens moving forward. But let me bring on my esteemed co-host. He's the author of the P.K. Frazier novel series. Go over to Amazon now, type in P.K. Frazier, and click all the books and go to cart, pay for them. They'll be to you in, I think, 2 days. You can read them and love them. And he's also our editor for golf and one of our top contributors for college sports as well, Mr. Kevin Crest. How are you doing tonight, Kevin?
I'm doing well, thank you. I had some other things got kind of delayed this evening, but great to be on. And I totally agree with your assessment of Carmelo Anthony. One trick pony. He's a shooter. That's all he is. I mean, but he's a great shooter. Okay, but that's really all he does. And in this league now, you need to do more than that. You got to move. You got to pop. You got to pick. You got to do some things. I mean, Klay Thompson and Steph Curry, and even LeBron and some others are great shooters. James Harden, but they do a lot more stuff. The only thing that Carmelo Anthony does is pretty much spot and shoot, and he's shown throughout his career he's not good enough.
It's funny.
So we'll see. I mean,
someone was telling me today. I forget how the comment led up, but they said something was like they bring up Cousins getting signed to the Warriors, and frankly, DeMarcus Cousins is just Carmelo Anthony 10 feet from the basket. That's really all he is. He's not going to. Again, he can score. He can score within that, 5 to 12 feet from the basket area. But he's not going to give you defense. You're not getting assists out of him.
He does rebound.
He does rebound.
He does rebound, though. I mean, the guy's a what, 25 and 12 guy. I mean, that's pretty doggone good.
That is good. That is good.
Carmelo just has the 25. I mean, all Melo has is the 25, right? That's all he's got. So,
the thing is, like, the 12 rebounds are good, but we have to understand that both these guys are really role players. They are. They're role players.
Cousins go for $5 million, 5.9 million. What are the Warriors?
It was $5 million.
Right.
Yeah, I think it was 5 or 5.4 or something like that. Mid-level minimum.
Yeah. Which in today's NBA is, bargain basement shopping, right? I mean, for a guy like Cousins to take that kind of money, right? I mean, when LeBron signs 4 years for $153 million, these other guys are signing these max deals at 5 years for $200 million, things like that. And so, I totally agree with you. I mean, the Cousins deal is exactly what Carmelo can expect if he, once he works out his current contract. That's all he's going to get. If that, if he's 30, let's see, he came out in 2002.
He's the same age as LeBron, I think.
2000. So what's he? 30, 36, 35? I mean, he's old. I mean, he's old. So, but it's interesting though that I actually a friend of mine actually played high school basketball with Carmelo. Okay, and there's some pretty good stories. They're still friends, so they still talk and hang out, and it's interesting to. It's like I asked him, I said, "What's it like to have a guy like Carmelo?" And he goes, "You know what? We don't really talk about that stuff. He's just mellow. He's just." I'm like, "Really?" It's like, "Yeah, he's just a friend from high school." I'm like, "Oh, come on, it's crazy." So it's interesting. So
I actually was at the beginning of the show was talking about that. Kind of how we athletes automatically, because they have a certain level of celebrity, we put them on this pedestal, so it's hard to see them as anything other than that, like a normal person. I mean, having a conversation with someone, because it's like he's this, but we don't look at him as just somebody that's in the line at the grocery store. It's because they're this.
Well, yeah, that's interesting, because I the PGA Tour events are different, but on the LPGA Tour, the media is considered part of the tour, so we get to we dine with the players. Okay, so the dining room is usually, for the LPGA events anyway, unlike, the U.S. Open or the U.S. Women's Open or the PGA, where you've got a separate media center. The media center is typically a room in the clubhouse. And then the meals are in the dining room in the clubhouse, where everybody dines together. The players, the caddies, the LPGA officials, the media are all together. Okay. And so when I was covering the Northwest Arkansas LPGA tournament a couple weeks ago, I was having breakfast, and the table to my left was Stacey Lewis with her husband and people that she knew, and to my right was Brittany Lincecum and her people, and across the way was Michelle Wee with her mother and father, who travel with her still travel with her, and so it's like this family of so you get to know the people, as just regular people, because I went over and sat with I forget who. I went over and sat with somebody. I was down in Dallas. I did the tournament in Dallas. I sat with one of the players and just talked. And so it was really interesting, because that mystique of oh my gosh, these people they're just people. They just happen to play golf very, very well, right? And I don't know if I mentioned I got to interview Julie Inkster after her Pro-Am round. A 30-year-old or 25-year-old kid was with her. I'm just talking with her. So the interview was just a conversation. It wasn't a big deal. And we forget that they're just people that happen to play a sport for a living, and at a very high level. And so I think it's helpful sometimes to be able to see these people in their environment where we're not putting them up on a pedestal. And so it's the LPGA Tour, which I'm covering rather extensively, is awesome to cover, because these are great athletes, but you have access, which you don't have at some of the other sports. You know what I mean? The PGA Tour, I've covered a couple of tournaments. You don't have the access, but you do on the PGA Tour Champions, for instance. You have more access. I was able to interview Jack Nicklaus. I was able to, talk to John Daly. I was able to hang out with Colin Montgomery and Tom Lehman. But you don't get that at the higher level. So it's to an extent, like my wife even told me, she said, why don't you just cover those other events? Because it sounds like it's a lot more fun. And she's right. She's absolutely right. I would much rather cover a web.com tour event now in some ways, or a G League event, right, than trying to beat your head up against the wall and try to get an interview with with LeBron James or Westbrook or Harden, because their egos are so you're not going to get there, right? Because it's just not happening unless you're one of the guys that's been doing it for so long that they know who they are. But this last round of the LeBron decision, even the guys that have been covering him for 20 years had no clue. They guessed.
Yeah,
they had a guess. They had right.
They were literally saying part of his crew, his people. So when they he was actually out with his wife. They were out as a couple, and before they were getting ready to go on vacation, and he went out on a double date. He came back, and his people had just started to prepare a generic press release, and they did it actually through Clutch Sports, which is their sports management outlet.
Right.
So
sports arm. Sports management marketing arm. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So they didn't know where he was going then. He called them just before he boards the plane to go on vacation and says, "Hey, call the Lakers." So that's the thing, is like nobody knew. They prepared generic statements, and it's nice when I think it's nice at times when things don't get leaked, and it's nice that he did. Yeah. He went ahead and did it January, right at the beginning. It really wasn't drawn out. Again, these are tough decisions, and sports is funny because sports is like the only career that you really ever would go into where people really begrudge you for upward mobility, changing companies, stuff like that. You really don't see that anywhere else in business, where, you go to another company, a rival company, because they pay you more or provide better opportunity or benefits for you and your life and your family, and people hate you for it. You may have a couple people in the office that don't like it, but whatever. They probably didn't like you to begin with. So maybe a boss that really needed you, and now they have to find someone else. So they don't like it, but at the end of the day, really there's nowhere else that you get that, and again, it's that thing. It's like true. That whole pedestal. The whole pedestal thing.
Yes, I've written about this too. And it's like, I've written, and how I've been critical of fans being critical of athletes making decisions, even whatever. I'm like, if you've never been there, like if you've never been the best at what you do, or if you've never been at the pinnacle of your industry, right? Shut up. You don't have a clue. You don't have any idea what it's like. And for people in these days, it's ridiculous. People can sit on their ass in front of a PC screen, work a minimum wage job, or whatever. They just do whatever they can, and they think they have a say. They don't have a say. They've never accomplished anything. And this is my feeling about LeBron James: is the guy spent 7 years in Cleveland, took them to an NBA Finals where they had no business being there, right? They had no business being in the finals that year. They got swept, I know, but no business.
He had Mo Williams.
Got to the conference finals the next year, right? Oh, good grief! Yeah, they had one player and 3 warm bodies and 5 corpses on the bench, and they got to the NBA Finals. And Dan Gilbert didn't give him a team. He leaves to go to Miami, and he's vilified for it, which makes no sense to me, right? I mean, if just say in our business, right? If we're writing and we're broadcasting, and the company we're doing it for gives us absolutely no outlet, right? We get the crappiest jobs. We have to cover, we have to cover AA baseball, and somebody comes to us and goes, "I'm going to make you the beat writer for the Texas Rangers," and you leave because that's the job.
Yeah.
Nobody's criticizing us for that, right? They're going,
No.
"Wow, nice job. You got to be the beat writer for the Texas Rangers," right?
Exactly.
LeBron goes to a team, and by the way, it isn't like that team was stacked. I know it was Wade and Bosch, and it was LeBron, but that wasn't enough to win a title. They went and they worked hard and they built a team, and they went to 4 finals. They won 2 championships. But why aren't we applauding LeBron James for building something and being a good teammate, as opposed to just Kevin Durant? If you want to throw somebody under the bus, Kevin Durant is with the Oklahoma City Thunder, a pretty good team. They lose to the Warriors. He puts his tail between his legs, and he goes and he joins a team that they just lost to, and makes them this monster team. Durant's a piece of crap as far as I'm concerned. What a coward. He wouldn't even want to be the man. And nobody says that about Durant. It's like,
but that's the thing is, Durant was the man and left and went and became the man somewhere else. Yeah,
but they didn't need the man. It was like, why?
Well,
I'm not saying that we should criticize Durant. I'm just saying, why are we criticizing
back-to-back Finals
LeBron
MVPs
for something he did 8 years ago?
I feel like they kind of needed him.
Well, they won they barely lost the title, right? They barely lost the title the year before he came. I mean, that LeBron James block, that the Cavs came back down from 3 games to 1 down. LeBron makes a miracle play at the end to win it in Game 7. But my point's not about all that. My point is, why are we vilifying LeBron James for something he did 8 years ago? And Durant seems we're not criticizing Durant for doing basically a more, I'm trying to find the adjective, a more blatant thing. Because when LeBron went to Miami, all they had was Wade and Bosch. When Durant went to Golden State, they had Curry, Thompson, Green, right? I mean, they had a stacked lineup. And so I don't understand. I don't understand why LeBron James is so vilified. The guy's done nothing except I understand how he made the decision the first time as a young kid, but good grief, who cares?
I mean,
he did win 2 championships at Miami, and he won a championship in Cleveland. And he came to Cleveland, and he went back to Cleveland without a whole lot of a team either. I mean, he did get Dan Gilbert to bring Kevin Love over, and then they got a really good general manager in Griffin, and Dan Gilbert forced him away, which is why LeBron's leaving. Because I think if Griffin stays as general manager in Cleveland, I don't think LeBron's leaving, because he did a great job of getting talent around him. I think that it just kind of fell apart.
If you think about it, outside of Boston, does anybody vilify Ray Allen? I mean, literally, he was there for what? 7 seasons? 8 seasons? And
what, in Boston?
In Boston, and was able to be with a team, the what they call their big three, and at the height of where they were kind of competing, they win a title, and now he leaves that winning atmosphere for less than half of what he was making to play with LeBron in Miami and wins 2 titles there. And again, outside of Boston,
yeah, he was a key.
Nobody seems to be salty about that.
He was a key component. Yeah, he was a key. Yeah, he doesn't get criticized for that, and he should. I mean, I'm not saying he should, but if LeBron's going to get criticized for what he did, Ray Allen should get. I mean, talk about chasing rings, right? So, he was in Boston for 6 seasons. Of course, he was fantastic. His first 11 years in the league were fantastic anyway. Then he goes to Boston to join the Big Three. I mean, why is it that Pierce, Garnett, and Allen can team up in Boston and win a title, and everybody's like, "Oh, that's a great thing," and then Bosh, Wade, and LeBron do the same thing in Miami, and it's criticized. Why is that? I don't get it. I don't have an answer for it. I really don't understand.
It's the LeBron factor.
I think
it's the LeBron factor.
It's
whatever he does
is
criticized that much more. There's again, it's not just regular criticism. It's like hating that much more. It's just hating on him. Like people just look to hate on LeBron. Like people still say like, "Well, why couldn't he do it like Michael and stay with one team? Why couldn't he win?" And the thing is like, well, Michael played in Washington. Michael only played in Washington because he was so upset as an owner that he couldn't get players to do, and he just said, "I'll do it myself." He ignorantly gave up ownership, thinking he was going to get it back. They screwed him on that, by the way, and never sold it back to him.
But Jordan left the game.
Yeah,
I mean,
twice.
Jordan just didn't change teams. He left the game.
Yeah.
They won 3 consecutive championships in Chicago, and he quit the sport.
He changed sports.
He went to play baseball.
Yeah.
He went to play baseball. It's like, why is he such a god? I mean, he is. He's treated like this. And by the way, I'm going to state this, and there was I was actually at lunch with 2 good friends of mine earlier this week, late last week, Friday, and both of them independently, unprovoked, said, I'm ready to acknowledge that LeBron James is better than Michael Jordan. Now, you know me, I've been saying this for years. Since we've been on this show for 3 years now. I think it's indisputable. I think LeBron James is a better basketball player, than Michael Jordan. And of course, everybody's like, "Oh, you can't say that." But if you look at the records and the numbers and you just watch him play, LeBron James, the last 3 years since he got his jump shot going, is a more complete basketball player than Michael Jordan ever was. And I know that people listening are going to go, "You're crazy. I don't believe it." But they're probably younger, and they might not have actually. A lot of people saying that Jordan was better didn't actually watch Michael Jordan. I mean, go back and watch it. I watched him from the time he was in college. I was living in Virginia. I was an ACC person. I watched Michael Jordan from the time he hit campus at UNC. LeBron James at 18 had it all over Michael Jordan at 18, 19, 20, 21. Jordan didn't even make a final until his 7th year in the league, 6th year in the league, something like that.
Yeah, somewhere right around there. Yeah. So
I think it's unfair. I don't know. I don't know the reason. I don't know the rationale. I don't know why. But so I don't blame LeBron right now for going, you know what? I could win 5 more titles and it won't matter. I'm going to go someplace where I want to be. I want to go to the beach. I want my kids to have a nice house. I want my son to play on a basketball team he wants to play for. I'm going to L.A. And you know what? I don't think he gives a darn about how good the team is around him. He's going to finish out his career. He signed a 4-year contract. He's never done that before. Not since he left. Not since he signed his second deal with the Cavaliers. This isn't a 2-year deal with 2-player options, right? This is a 4-year deal. He's there for 4 years. I think he's finally said, you know what? I don't care. Nothing I do matters to the fans, so I'm just going to go make myself happy, and good for him, because he deserves that. He has earned that right. 9 finals. 9 NBA finals. That's ridiculous. I know it's only 3 titles, but it's 9 finals.
Yeah.
And 3 titles. And this year, the final with the Cavaliers the first time and the finals this year, they had no business being there. None. Right? So 2 of those finals, he put that team on his back. And got him there. So I've got a lot of time for LeBron James. I think he's been, by the way, off the court, exemplary. There's not a hint of scandal. There's no anything bad about LeBron James. And so I would challenge people that are LeBron James haters to look at themselves in the mirror and say, if you're criticizing LeBron for something, you got to look in the mirror and ask yourself, are you that good? Are you as good as him? Are you worthy of criticizing him? And I would say for 99.999% of the people that are doing this, the answer is no, they're not worthy. They can't even hold up one accomplishment that gives them the right to criticize one of the greatest athletes of all time. And that's where I stand. Is come on, guys. Come on, people. Look at yourself in the mirror. What have you ever done? What have you ever done in your life that makes you worthy of criticizing this guy? And that's where I stand. And I'll challenge it. So, if they want to write me at Kevin at pkfrazier.com, or they want to tweet me at Kevin Kress and say, "Oh, I'm really good. I'm worthy of that," but that's not going to happen because they're not. They're not worthy of it. Nor am I. I'm not worthy of criticizing these top, whether it's top athletes or top musicians or top actors. That's hard work. They earn that stuff. They're not given that stuff. Costner just doesn't get. Academy Awards, right?
Obviously, like people in our profession, we're going to analyze. I'd say we give critical feedback from a perspective, from an opinion. I don't think that anything that what we do in criticism of athletes or coaches are in a sense that we're trying to put ourselves before them or above them. But that's the thing is...
Yeah, I agree. And that's different.
Yeah.
That's different.
It's constructive.
We're analyzing
exactly
their stuff as it pertains to between the lines, right? I get that. I have no problem with that.
Yeah.
What I have a problem with is people criticizing personal decisions and acting like, that they know better what LeBron should do or whoever should do, right? I mean, I don't care. I mean, look at Paul George decides to stay in Oklahoma City. Wow, I can't question that. Now I can analyze his activities on the basketball court, right? Because that's what we're paid to do. That's what we do. But like, Paul George stays in Oklahoma City. That's kind of interesting. I mean, it's interesting from that respect. Chris Paul re-signs with the Rockets. That's interesting. And we can comment on it. But to editorialize about it and to criticize people, I think is unfair to the people involved. I think there is a differentiating factor there, right, between analysis and commentary versus criticism and hate. There's a difference there in my mind anyway. Maybe I'm just crazy.
Maybe
I
both.
am crazy.
Maybe both. I would say, yeah, but probably both.
Maybe both. Yeah.
So, but kind of digress back to kind of the topic at hand. Most of what I'm seeing on reports are people saying that Carmelo is the best fit with Houston. I don't really think he's really a good fit with any team because he really doesn't play well with people. On the other hand, Houston has kind of, not kind of, but literally in a way has gotten tremendously worse as far as where they are at. They offered Clint Capella an $85 million deal on July 1. And they say they're optimistic about him signing. Again, a guy just a couple years ago, people didn't put a whole lot of weight into, and he's really moved up on the scales of importance within that franchise. He's developed well. They lose Trevor Ariza to the Suns. So that's big because Trevor Ariza is that one forward that will go in there. He can. He's the only guy they really have that can put any sort of defense on Kevin Durant. He was the only guy they had that could really do that. So losing Ariza was a big deal. And it's kind of in a situation where overpaying for Capella and now looking at a mid-level minimum for Carmelo Anthony is really their only option of being able to find a forward to come in, but he's not going to play that forward. You're not going to get the defense out of him. And DeAnthony Melton, I mean, they can't hope that a rookie who's done okay in the summer league, you're going to really step up and do that for them. And then they lose Luke Maha Amante. So to the Clippers, he's going to the Clippers on a 1-year deal. So there's another forward that they lose too. So now they really don't have many options. But to say that the Rockets are a perfect match for Carmelo.
Yeah, I was watching.
Just because they have nothing isn't really a reason that he's a perfect match.
Yeah. Yeah, I was listening to the Dan Patrick Show. Dan Patrick's one of my favorites from way back. His character, he's an inspiration for P.K. Frazier, the P.K. Frazier character in my novels. But Dan Patrick made the comment that he felt that Houston has been the one team that's taken a huge step back this offseason. I think he's right. I mean, and you bring in Carmelo, what do you get? I mean, you get a guy that's just going to stand around at the 3-point line and you're going to throw it to him, and he's that Houston offense is about movement. I mean, they move all the time, right? They're now Harden doesn't he dribbles a lot, but the rest of the team's moving, and so I don't know where Carmelo fits. I mean, Carmelo's had what, 2 max deals now? 2 or 3. I mean, the guy could walk away. He's probably
2, but
$400 million or something like that.
Yeah,
$300 million. I mean, he's made enough money that he doesn't. Ironically, the team that could really use him would probably be Golden State, just because he's a shooter.
$227
they're all about
million.
shooting, right? Yeah, I mean, I'm sure the guy has a few dollars laying around.
Yeah.
But is Carmelo chasing a ring? I mean, I don't know. He's never been past the second round of playoffs until he's done that one time. Right? He got the second round of playoffs one time. So the guy has never had any success whatsoever with a team. Right. So he's never had any success whatsoever in a team environment. And so maybe that's why he just shoots all the time. He's like, what the hell? I'll just shoot. And New York was a train wreck. I mean, it wasn't his fault that was a train wreck. That was a train wreck. OKC, they were decent this year, and they get bounced in the first round by the Jazz. I saw OKC play against the Lakers in February, and they looked pretty good. And they were what, the third seed, fourth seed? They were a pretty good team when they get bounced. So who knows? I mean, I don't much care too much about Carmelo in terms of the NBA now, because I don't think he doesn't have that much time left, and I don't think his impact on a contender can be that great. Because he's a lot like Ray Allen. Ray Allen took his shooting skills to Boston and then to Miami, and they won titles. He won 3 titles, right? I mean, because he was a spot-up shooter. But those teams were different, and he didn't start. So Carmelo's going to have to be willing to come off the bench.
Yeah,
I guess Ray Allen started for Boston. He didn't start. He didn't start for Miami.
Carmelo will not come off the bench.
He's got to be. No, he won't. He's not going to. Right.
Here's a thought.
He's got to subordinate his ego and say, I'll be a role player. Can you see Carmelo being a role player? I don't see that.
No,
I just don't.
I mean, accepting that he is a role player, really, but he is a role player, but he doesn't accept that. He's a scoring star. Right. That's what he is. Right. But you know what? Who I think is actually a better fit.
Ray Allen did.
A lot of teams. I don't know why more people aren't talking a little bit about him, especially when they're trying to fill out rosters that with young talent. Nick Young, I don't know. I think he'd be a much better fit and of a guy. If you're looking for a guy that's a shooter and that can create some spark for you, and you're still going to end up spending about $5 million for him. Like, why? I would say go with Nick Young versus a guy that he'll create some spark. He's willing to come off the bench. He's not going to really do much to screw up team chemistry. I think he's a better option than Carmelo. I'm going to throw another name out there. We've talked about him. Where does Kevin Love end up? Because Cleveland's nothing right now. I mean, they're not going to be anything. Okay? He is Cleveland.
Where does Kevin Love go?
I mean, he has 2 years left.
He's the guy now, right?
And he has 2 years left on his. He has a max contract with him, and he cannot. He doesn't have a no trade clause, so they could trade him. In theory, they could trade him. I'm not sure if they own his bird rights or not. I have to go look. So. Other than if they lose him in free agency, they may just lose him, But right now, he is their only option.
But he's not the alpha male, so he can't. You can't build a team around Kevin Love. I mean, Minnesota's tried it and it didn't do very well, and then he goes to Cleveland. He's a good role player. I mean, if right? Because
The thing is, okay, so here's the thing. Is the Lakers got rid of Jordan Clarkson and Larry Nance. Jordan Clarkson primarily because he's at 12.5. You know, that contract that he had, they had to get rid of that money off of they had to get rid of that money. It was to free up space for LeBron and to move forward. And then Larry Nance was a guy that they wanted to keep around. But his contract, I think he has 2 more years left on his rookie deal. And he was a later round pick. So it's a bit different. So because picks in the second round, they're not guaranteed to hit your cap. They're not guaranteed against your cap. So that's why a lot of times you'll see, instead of trading for first round picks, you'll see a team try to take a whole bunch of second round picks versus a first round pick, because those drop off. They're not guaranteed to hit your cap. That's why. So he was a second round. He was a late round guy. So they wanted to keep him because they saw him moving forward with them, but they had to, in order to get rid of the Clarkson contract and be able to free up some, again, because they got Isaiah Thomas, they knew that was going to fall off anyway. So they were clearing up cap space in order to make the right moves for LeBron. But he's a good piece there. He's a good piece there. Jordan Clarkson is a good player. He's a quality player they have there. George Hill is not a guy that's really a star. At $19 million, I think it's a bit high. Tristan Thompson, I think Tristan Thompson has. I know he got a pretty big deal. His was I think was considered a max deal for where he was. I could be. No, it wasn't. It wasn't a max deal for him. But he's making like $17 million, $18 million in the next 2 years. He has 2 years left there too. So a lot of the players on their team have. Love has 2 years. Nance has 2 years. Clarkson has 2 years. So those are the guys for the next couple of years. They kind of have some ownership on and something they can work with. They got 2 years left on Kyle Korver. So the thing is, they don't have any A-plus players. I think Kevin Love, as far as talent, is an A-minus, B-plus guy, and that's the best they have right now. So will the Cavaliers make the playoffs in the East? Absolutely, with the team that they have. They don't really have a chance to push past, I think, Philadelphia or definitely not the Celtics. And the thing is, like, even with what they seem to be doing in Toronto, I can't even say that they get past Toronto. So in Miami keeps kind of improving as well. So, and the Wizards, it's tough to say that the Clevelands get past.
Washington's good, right?
Get past that, but
I mean,
you will have something there. Even Indiana would give him a run for their money. Oladipo is legit.
Listen,
Go ahead.
The question is, does Dan Gilbert, the owner of the Cavaliers, want to get something of value for a couple of these players and build for the future? Because the present doesn't look all that great. I mean, I agree with you. I agree with all that you said, everything you said. But those guys were brought in to support LeBron James. There's no LeBron James there anymore. I mean, they're just a bunch of supporting guys. It's like, it's like, some kind of ensemble cast that you want to build a big budget movie, and you go, yeah, but I don't have DiCaprio, I don't have Damon, I don't have Ryan, I don't have any of the Ryans, I don't have anybody. What are you going to do? And so I don't know. I mean, I'm just thinking about Kevin Love. I know he's got a great relationship with LeBron, and nobody's been talking about that. I mean, you look at that team in LA, and they're close. And I think they're going to deal Lonzo Ball. I don't think LeBron's going to play with Lonzo Ball because Lonzo Ball is is not fundamentally sound as a basketball player. He can't shoot free throws. He's not a good shooter. And he's a point guard on a team now that doesn't need a point guard because LeBron James is the point guy, right? So what value does Lonzo Ball bring to the Lakers at this point in time? I don't know. We'll see. So I don't know. We'll just have to say it's interesting. So, but
just looking at the team as it is right now, I don't see the Lakers doing anything else in free agency and trades. I think they're going to run with what they have right now.
For this year. I kind of agree. I mean, next summer, and that's why initially I had thought, now I wasn't alone in this thought, okay, that LeBron would stay one more year because they couldn't put the team around him this year. But I guess family trumped him. His wife probably said, look, if we're going to go, let's go now. Right. And listen, you and I both know what that means, right? You just say yes. Right. I mean, that's how that works, right? You don't buck that. And so my feeling is that Magic and LeBron and the ownership is going, okay, well, because I think the Lakers can make the playoffs with that team, but they're going to be like a 7-6 kind of seed, probably, and because they're not as good as Utah, they're not as good as Golden State, not as good as Houston, not as good as they're not even as good as Oklahoma City, even with all the stuff going on there. So let's say they get a 6 seed. Can they upset the number 3 seed? Now, LeBron came in as a 4 seed this year and got away to the finals. So I don't put anything past LeBron in terms of motivating his teammates and getting them up stuff. But making the finals in the East is a whole lot different than making the finals in the West. That's like a consolation prize, getting the finals in the East, because you have to go through the same team. So maybe they're okay with saying, okay, we'll build a team this year, see what we got. So they have some good talent. I mean, Kuzma's good. I mean, they've got some good talent out there. I mean, and then next year maybe they snag Kawhi Leonard. Who knows? Maybe Kevin Durant says, I'll opt out and go down the coast. Who knows? Right? I mean, and Magic's as looped in to the league, as anybody else, and LeBron has all his friends. But I think it was interesting that Chris Paul, signed a deal with Houston. That I thought Paul and James would team up. That surprised me a little bit. But they're both now locked in for 4 years, so they'll never play together. I mean, they're done. They're locked, barring some kind of weird trade, which I don't think is going to happen. They're locked in, so they're not going to play as teammates unless you put together some kind of geriatric deal in 4 years where they, I don't know that's going to happen. And so I just want to talk a little golf before we get off here tonight, just to.
Well, last thing, and then we're going to transition into golf. With the Lakers, the big piece of the Lakers that is kind of a hindrance for them right now is Luol Deng, his $18 million contract. If they can move that would be ideal for them, because they're still sitting on 2 more years left on that contract. He didn't play last year. He was ineffective the year before that. Maybe he provides more for them this season, playing with LeBron. But also Rajon Rondo adds a sense of some sort of veteran sort of leadership there. They still have Brandon Ingram. Mo Wagner, they're looking to improve. Kyle Kuzma, they're high on. Josh Hart, they're very high on. And then bringing in JaVale McGee. So I think that their squad there is ample to make a run in the West. Not to win it, but to make a run. So it's going to be interesting. what happens moving forward. But I don't think outside of the Lakers finding somebody, I could see maybe a three-way trade for them to try to move Luol Deng to Atlanta, Kyle Korver coming to L.A., and then them sending the Hawks sending somebody or picks or something like that to Cleveland. But outside of that, I don't see much really moving there. So, but in the way of golf, I know I sent over to you today. I saw that the PGA Tour announced this morning that they have effectively been able to retool their 2019 schedule so they can finish the PGA Tour before football season kicks off. So how were they able to do this?
Well, I mean, most of this was already, I mean, they actually published the actual tour schedule, the tournament schedule this morning. Most of it had already been, leaked or announced. But the one thing that wasn't announced before this morning was that they reduced the FedEx Cup playoffs from 4 tournaments to 3 tournaments, and that's very significant. And so this year, and the last since they instituted the FedEx Cup playoffs, which has been 12 years or so, it was comprised of 4 tournaments. The top 125 got into the playoffs. After the first tournament, the field was cut to 100 players. After that, it was cut to 70. Then it was cut to 30. So they've basically taken that first cut out so that the top 125 in FedEx Cup points after the regular season make it to the playoffs. After the first tournament, which will be this year, which will be the Northern Trust Open in New Jersey, the top 70 will survive, and then after the BMW Championship at Medina Country Club, the top 30 will go to the Tour Championship. So what that does, the effect of that is that the regular season will make a lot more difference, right? Because, in fact, the guys in the top half of the FedEx Cup playoffs probably won't even play the first tournament. They'll take that week off, okay? Because they won't have to. They'll have enough points to get into the next one. So it just adds more importance to the regular season. Very much like if you compare baseball to basketball, the baseball regular season matters a lot more than basketball does, or hockey, because half the teams get in the playoffs. And so that was probably the main significant announcement from this morning that hadn't been talked about before, because the other significant moves, the PGA Championship to May and the players moving from May to March, were already known. What wasn't known was where the players was going to land in March. It turns out it landed a week or two earlier than I thought it would. It landed in this year. The next year is going to be March 11th to the 17th, which is a week or two earlier than I thought it was going to be. Now, what that does is it means that the golf course is going to play more like the golf course is intended to play at the Players, which means you'll have thicker rough and you will have faster, firmer conditions at TPC Sawgrass, which is where they used to play it before they moved it. Okay, so from a golf course perspective, that makes a difference. Secondly, and mainly because when they moved it to May, it gets hotter in Florida, and they have to keep things wetter, right? Because the grasses can't survive. You got to keep the greens. The greens are softer, so you're going to see a lot tougher golf course conditions to players. But when you move the PGA from August to May, the significance there is that you bring more golf courses into play that can host the PGA. Because in August, you take the entire southern part of the country out of the mix, right? You can't host a PGA Tour event or in Texas or Florida or Alabama or wherever, right? In August, it's too hot, and so that's significant. That's going to bring a lot more courses. That's going to bring Southern Hills in Tulsa, Oklahoma, back into the PGA rotation, probably. The last time they played the PGA in Tulsa, and I was there in 2007, it was ungodly hot. It was unbelievable. It was hard to do anything. But the problem they have next year is that that they'd already decided to have the PGA at Bethpage Black in New York on Long Island. And so the question a lot of people have, including Jack Nicklaus, who I spoke to this about in March down in Dallas, in Houston, is will that golf course be ready for the tournament in May? Because that's kind of early for New York. Okay, so we'll see, but that'll work itself out as we go. I applaud it. I think all the moves are positive. I think having the Tour Championship prior to football season is a great move, because even as I cover golf, I watch golf, I cover it. Once football season starts on Sunday, I'm not watching golf. I'm a football guy, and so this gets that whole thing done. Like the Tour Championship, not this year, but next year. We'll finish the Sunday before Labor Day, so it won't overlap with football at all. This year it's close because it's the Ryder Cup year. I think they go into a couple weeks into September, but they made this move. So I think this move is very positive. I applaud it. I think it's great, and I'm looking forward to more exposure for the golf. There's a bit of compression in the schedule. And it's going to cause the players to have to rethink how they schedule themselves, because the schedule is compressed. They're independent contractors; they get to play where they want.
Yeah.
And so I think you'll see a few of the tournaments where you won't see quite as strong a field as you have in the past. But I think for the most part, it's positive for golf. They'll figure out a way to make it work. I think the players will figure out a way to make their schedules work. It also gives the tour what they really wanted is significant events in March, April, May, June, and July. Right? They get those 5 months because the PGA was an afterthought in August. This year, it's the second week in August. I'm not sure people. I mean, it's just so you get those. You get that schedule and I'll say they're not 5 majors. There's 4 majors plus the players, and I'll call them the significant events. Are all within a 5-month span. I think it's just like the NFL. The NFL wants something significant happening every month, right? You get free agency, you get the draft, you get OTAs, you get training camp, you get preseason, and you get the 4 months of football. So it's a really good, it's an enlightened approach. They're recognizing they're not the only sport, and I think that the Tour Championship, you think about it, Matthew, the Tour Championship in 2019 is going to be August 19th to 25th. There's nothing else going on. I mean, that's it. There will be no other significant sporting event going on the third week in August. They'll own it. And that event has gone largely unrecognized the last few years because it's been competing with football, whether it's college on Saturday or pros on Sunday. So, I think it'll be able to get back on the at least the front page of the sports page. And for me, as a golf, covering golf, I think it's great. So, just want to say that about that. And of course, the other significant event this week was the announcement that Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson are going to face off in a $10 million winner-take-all TV match.
How
about that?
So it's just going to be them.
And the genesis of this was when they were paired together for the first time after many, many years on a Thursday and Friday. They were paired together at the Players' Championship. Mm-hmm. And in the press conferences, Phil said, "Well, why don't we just do away with all this other stuff and Tiger and I'll just face off and see how much money we want to play for." And then about 20 minutes later, Tiger got onto the stage at the media center and said, "Yeah, whatever. Just name your price." And so, obviously, a savvy marketer jumped on that. And let me tell you something. Who's not going to watch that? I mean, if you put that thing on on a Tuesday night in July or August when there's nothing else on except a bunch of meaningless Major League Baseball games, aren't you going to watch? I mean, you're going to watch that. Just it's like that's theater. That's not golf. That's theater. So good for them.
You don't like Major League Baseball, do you? You really don't.
I like Major League. I like to go to the game. Watching on TV has become such. You might as well put me in a dentist chair and have somebody drill into my teeth. Just the guys either strike out or hit a home run. The games take forever, and there's nothing going on. There's no base hits. Nobody's hitting. There's no hit and runs. There's no strategy to the game anymore. I mean, I don't even know why they have managers. I'm not even sure why they have managers. Why they pay these guys? Just let the guys go up and swing and miss or swing and hit a home run. Now, I understand that the local regional TV is very healthy, but the national games, they're not national games. All they show are the Red Sox and Yankees. That's all they show. And so I have no interest. I have none until they get to the playoffs. But I love going to the game. I love baseball, and actually my interest more these days is in college baseball. The college NCAA playoffs this year were amazingly entertaining, and the College World Series was fantastic. But I have no interest in. I'm not going to spend 4 hours in front of my television watching baseball be bastardized by what they're doing today. I mean, Bryce Harper is an all-star. He's batting .218. That's ridiculous. .218. I mean, 10 years.
I've seen some question around that.
I understand he's a big star, and his on base percentage. They say, "Oh, his on base percentage." It's only .375. I get lots of walks, but that's.
And what's that new stat? The bat velocity, launch velocity, or whatever. What's the point of that?
All that. Yeah. And by the way, last year, I saw the Pirates play the Nationals, I saw Bryce Harper hit a home run. I saw Steven Strasburg strike out 12. I saw that game, but I was in the park.
Yeah.
I was fine with it, but not on television. And I'm too far. I can't get to a major league. But the closest Major League Baseball park to me is Kansas City, which is 3.5 hours away. So I can't get to games very often, but I'd love to. But I heard today that the Rays have announced a new stadium, right?
Yes.
30,000 seat stadium.
Yes.
In Tampa. Is that right? Is that correct?
That is correct. And if
Where
people,
are they putting that? Is that in Ybor City?
It is in Ybor City,
Okay.
where I reported it. In the third quarter of 2017, where it was going to be. Stay up with me, local media. Right there. Now, obviously, there's some. Again, this is part of the plan. Again, this is the stadium portion of the plan that they're looking at. It isn't quite in a position to where they have acquired it, so they can't really tell you that they're gonna do something with an area that's not theirs. So, but what I'm telling you is the plans. There's an area that is west of Ybor. It's in the Tampa Heights area. There's Tampa Heights apartments. It's low-income apartments. They've been the vacancy rate is pretty high there. And they haven't really, the owner of it has been in a bit of some legal issues, so they've been trying to kind of flush him out so they can acquire it that way without having to go eminent domain. Because it's never a good political, look when you take low-income people and force them out of their housing to build upper income housing and storefronts. So that's the direction they're kind of going with it. But I look for that again to be high-end condos, kind of what those of you that
plus it's a small stadium.
Yeah, and they have to.
It's a small stadium.
They have to, and they're going to go. From my understanding, is the dimensions of it is where they'd still be able to hold events like football. So they'd still be able to hold football or soccer, because again, the Rowdies are at Al Lang, and Al Lang wants to keep them. St. Pete wants to keep the Rowdies over there, and they seem to be doing all right over there. But again, there's more money in Tampa. But hopefully, and again, they didn't win the bid for the MLS. They've been trying to petition the MLS to be able to join the MLS because the North American Soccer, it was the North American Soccer League or U.S. Soccer League that they're in right now, is what used to be considered like the MLS, but it's kind of it took a backseat when the MLS came into play. So they're trying to take their what they see as their rightful place in the MLS. Again, Major League Soccer, not multiple listing system. People, which MLS? Well, why would you ask me that?
They're kind of taking their lead from Pittsburgh, which when they built PNC Park, it's like 41,000, right? And it's a smaller venue.
Yeah.
Because the smaller you get, the more you can charge. Because it's what have they been averaging over there in St. Pete?
I think it's around
12,000, 13,000. I mean, it'll get pretty big.
During the week, it's like five something during the week.
It's not a lot.
Big 10,000, I think, as they call the average attendance. But actually,
and you and I have talked about
in
this
attendance is different because those are tickets. So they're looking at tickets sold, and that's the thing. It's like how many
it hasn't been much.
Are in attendance versus tickets sold. Right. Again, I don't know. They probably would never release those kind of numbers.
But we've talked about this before, and the only way the Rays were going to be able to build a big stadium and get really decent attendance was to go out to I-4 and I-75 and build something out there that would attract, make it a regional team from Orlando and Lakeland and, Sarasota and Tampa and all that. But they've chosen to stay in Tampa, which I think that their decision to go with the 30,000 seat stadium.
I mean, it's right off the interstate.
In a more urban environment. It is. I think it's a good choice. And I think they'll probably end up getting some sellouts because I think it's accessible to a lot of people. It's still not going to be the regional model that I would have maintained, but they're not going to spend a ton of money on the stadium. They're not going to have this the infrastructure is going to be huge. They're going to be fine. I think that's a really good. They've got on the right side of the bay now because over in St. Pete makes no sense. Or at least going to Tampa. I think it's a good decision. I applaud it. I think it's a good decision. I would go a different direction, but I think I do understand that the leadership in Tampa wants to, revitalize the downtown Ybor area, and I think that's fine.
They're trying to find a way to unite
anymore. I lived
the two.
there for several years. Yeah, and I applaud that. I think that's okay. It will definitely benefit the team. I mean, because they're playing in a tomb. I mean, that stadium over there, it's not worthy of Major League Baseball. I mean, it just isn't. Nothing against the people that own the arena, but that's not a Major League caliber stadium. Not for 2018 standards, right? There's, they have some luxury suites, if you can call them that. They've got some of that, but it's not up to par. I mean, I was at PNC Park last year in Pittsburgh, and that's a gem. I mean, that is, if you ever get a chance to go to a baseball game there in Pittsburgh, it is an experience. It is what baseball is meant to be. It's absolutely what it's supposed to be. Camden Yards and some of the newer stadiums that I've been in are just awesome. And I'm hoping that, I think they're probably going to try to build that same experience in Tampa, with that ballpark. And that'll be awesome. So I hope to get down there sometime and see a game there. It'll be awesome. I can't wait.
So
I'm sure it'll be wonderful.
The thing is,
a nice May night, a nice night in May, 80 degrees, slight breeze. You're out there in Tampa, a little humidity, and you watch the baseball game. There's nothing better than that. That'll because right now you don't get any of that because it's indoors and it's in St. Pete, and it's the worst of all.
I think
I applaud them.
There's one thing all stadiums are going to have to start doing, and it's what the Minnesota Vikings did with their new stadium, the U.S. Bank Stadium, is being able to have hot spots and being able to increase and understand that the user experience at the game. Again, people like to use social media, use their phones and stuff like that, but with so many people packed into a small area, bandwidth isn't enough, and service is terrible. So, I mean, even especially from the media side. So being able to report something quick, live, even then, it's really tough to be able to get a connection and to be able to share content, and let alone fans. So I would definitely say that's going to be a direction that all stadiums and venues are going to have to really start spending that sort of infrastructure in their stadiums to be able to provide that sort of user experience, and I kind of twist what I was saying in the beginning of the show. I mean, so many people do things and they don't really realize why they do it. And, people don't understand why they work for a company, or employers don't understand why they've hired that person, or why this product sells, or why this person sells more of that product for the company. They really don't understand the whys of it. And I think the big miss that a lot of businesses have is experience. If we sit and look at simple things like, if you've ever been to a conference, and I'm sure everybody's been to a conference, you'll go and you'll have the free coffee. You always have the free coffee or whatever. And then if the venue you're at also has a Starbucks, people will go pay the $7 for Starbucks over free. You know what I'm saying? People will spend money on value. So when you increase the experience, again, that's what Starbucks sells. They're selling the experience of Starbucks, because you can have your coffee whatever way, do it with the app, whatever it is. It's not just some blah mundane thing. It's that experience that you have with Starbucks. That's what they sell. The same thing with like Apple. Apple is a leader in computers. They're a leader in the computer industry.
And I don't know. Have you been? I don't know if you've been to many major league sporting events recently. They are doing that. I mean, I was at Oklahoma City, small market team, but a first-class arena, and the experience is ridiculously good. Right? I mean, it is amazing to go to these new arenas, and the experience you get, the accommodations, the concessions, the everything. It's just amazing. And so I think that's what I think that's what these in the NFL more than any other.
Yeah,
is trying to embrace that. I mean, they're getting to the point where I forget which stadium it is, which it is. They're showing all the other games on big screens in the arena, in the stadium. Because what they're trying to keep from is people saying, "Well, I'm not going to come because I can watch Red Zone on my television, right? Or I can follow my fantasy teams on DirecTV, that channel that shows all the games." And so they're trying to compete with that, and I think it's good. Competition is good. It makes for better stuff. And so I know that I do like watching sports live, and the one thing that's turned me off from the stadium experience in some cases, and I feel like that they're getting better at this too, is that they've got to police the rowdiness in the stands. The people drinking heavily before games, and don't get me wrong, I drink, I tailgate, but I don't act obnoxiously in the arena. Is people bothering those around them, and the stadiums heretofore have been like, "Oh, we're not going to do that. We don't want to discourage people. We don't want to turn them off." But when they don't reprimand the one, they're turning off the 10 around them, and they're probably getting the idea that we got to stop this, right? When they do that, I might actually return to pro football, because I stopped going to pro football games because I couldn't handle the behavior. It's not tolerable. And so they're getting that. Although pro football, it could become a studio sport, it wouldn't affect their bottom line. I mean, they don't need people in the stands. They really don't, right? I mean,
for the health of the game, they don't. But again, incorporating fan experience into stadiums, that's what's getting people to go there. Because, like, take it for example, like the Bucks game. If you use a Bucks game, I think they're a good example of why people aren't going to games. Because most of their games, because they don't win, are at 1 o'clock. If you've ever been outside in Florida at 1 o'clock, not a lot of good feelings come up at 1 o'clock in the sun for 3 straight hours trying to stare at people playing football. I'm telling you, there's half of the stadium that's shaded. The other half is not even close to anything that is shade. Like the suntan, the sun spray just turns away.
Miami,
Sun Life Stadium, they've kind of
thing.
configured Sun Life Stadium it seems like they've built it up to where there's enough angles in it to where there's about 2/3 of the stadium that can be in shade during 1 o'clock games. But they've done a little bit better job of the construction to kind of keep away from the direct beating of the sun at 1 o'clock. But Tampa, I think Jacksonville's entire stadium is sun at 1 o'clock. I don't think there's a shadow there, in Jacksonville. In Tampa, it's just half.
Because their stand space east and west.
Yeah.
So that sun is directly overhead at 1 o'clock, and the entire field. Because I've been there. I mean, the way that was positioned, the field runs north-south in Jacksonville. In Tampa, the field runs, I want to say, northeast to southwest, and so you do get some amount of shade there. Of course, Arizona now has a retractable roof stadium. New Orleans plays inside. Atlanta plays inside if they want to. The Florida teams haven't built any new stadiums in over 20 years. So none of them are retractable roof. And so I think they face a competitive disadvantage, to be honest with you, because they're playing all their home games in hot sun. I mean, you're right, because those three teams, Jacksonville,
90 seconds
for the home games, they haven't been good enough to get a 4 o'clock game.
Yeah.
In like 10 years.
I mean, everybody gets the Thursday game, and everybody gets one Sunday
Yeah, they
night
get a Thursday game. Yeah.
Or a Monday game. Sorry, Monday.
One
Monday night game.
Yeah.
Nobody's guaranteed a Sunday night.
But other than that, so they're playing 6 home games or 6 or 7 home games in the hot sun. It's
60 seconds.
It's like the Cubs, right? When they have to play all their games a day.
Don't they still?
That's why they weren't competitive. No, they still play a lot of night. They play night games now at Wrigley Field, but when they until 1990 91 92 they played all their home games in the daytime. Well, they were just toast. I mean, the rest of the league played everything at night, unless they played a few games they played with Chicago in the daytime. And so it's the same kind of thing. They were at a competitive disadvantage. People go, oh, well, the Cubs finally won a World Series. Well, think about it. They finally won a World Series when they weren't playing games during the day all the time. I mean, they talk about the jinx and all that. No,
10 seconds.
It has to do with playing all their games in the daytime. So I got to run, man. But so not a big sports week, although the World Cup final is this week.
Yeah.
Watch France beat Belgium today.
That was a good game.
Great soccer game.
Great soccer game.
And tomorrow we've got England and Croatia. I'm pulling for England. France-England would be an interesting final. I don't think anybody picked that.
And by the way,
at the start of the World Cup, but
the ratings have been great, even with major people like Messi, Ronaldo, the U.S. soccer team not being in it. The ratings have been great. And actually, it's been really good because the host team has done well. So the fans have been higher and up. You haven't really heard issues of people having issues over there like they did during the Winter Olympics. I guess they've silenced everybody that did have issues, I guess, right?
I mean, the U.S. wouldn't have survived past the round of 16 anyway. So, but no, I think you saw me tweet and put on Facebook and LinkedIn. I was like, if you're not watching because the U.S. isn't in it, you're just missing out because it is the premier world sporting event every 4 years, and it is fantastic. I just love it. And so I'll be watching. I'll have to watch tomorrow. I'll have a traveling tomorrow. I'll have to watch that game on delay. But it will be if it comes down to England, France, that will be something. I'm hoping Croatia doesn't get in because that's just a buzzkill. That's just who cares? I can't get into that.
I think they were the
England,
biggest
France,
long
you
shot
get into that.
of the tournament. I think.
To Croatia?
Yeah, I think they were the biggest long shot of the tournament.
And they beat, and Russia was the real long shot. I mean, and they got all the way too. So, I don't know. England's been hanging on. It'll be great to watch tomorrow. So, I'm interested. I'm engaged. I think I've watched about 22, 23 games of the. It's about half. A little over a third of the games. Because for a while they were the last games of the group stages were opposite each other, and so you could only watch one. You couldn't watch them all. So, it's been great. So, hopefully we'll talk next week. And so I'm going to start my own college football preparation this week, Matthew. I'm going to buy some magazines and look at schedules, and maybe we'll talk a little bit of a little college football teaser next week.
Oh, absolutely. I think we could start breaking down some of the conferences, and we can start with the MAC if you want to.
No. We'll end with the MAC.
Yeah.
The MAC will be the icing on the cake.
Somebody needs to end with the MAC.
All right, man. I'll talk to you next week.
All right. Take it easy, Kevin. So,
okay.
Kevin Kress, ladies and gentlemen. So, definitely go over to your Play Store or App Store and type in Spreaker and download the free Spreaker app. Okay? That's Spreaker. Spreaker. It's a little star. It's like a gold star, right? It's the gold star standard. That's what we're looking at. It's the gold star, all right? You can listen to the full show. A few of you, we're about an half hour into the overtime segment from Blog Talk Radio, and we're still live this whole time on the Spreaker app. So there was no delays, there's no cutoffs in the show. So you hear it unabated. Best way, in my opinion, to listen to it. Be sure to follow us over there on the Spreaker app. We're close to being able to syndicate on iHeartRadio as well. We're close. So we need your guys' help. Go download the Spreaker app or go to Spreaker.com. Type in the Cold Hard Truth on Sports Radio Show, or just go to Spreaker.com/MattLongSports, and it'll take you right over there, and it will get you to us, and you'd be able to follow us. This way you get updates on shows, as well as gets everybody closer to being able to access the show via iHeartRadio as well. That's a big milestone for anybody. So I want to get a little bit into the soccer match today, into world football. France and Belgium was a terrific game. It ended up as a 1-0 final, 6 minutes of stoppage time. Belgium, you could tell that they were the more experienced team. They were a bigger team. So they put up a valiant effort, and it was so fun to watch. On top of that, it was a header that put France up 1-0. And they just seemed to, and they even with into stoppage time, they had a shot on goal, a couple opportunities where they could have scored to really put Belgium out of it. It was a highly impactful game, fun to watch. And I could tell you, I've watched a lot of the World Cup, as I usually do. I usually we don't talk about it as much on the show, but stop it, Dwayne Wade to the Lakers. Stop it. We don't talk about it so much on the show. We can, if you guys are interested in talking about more soccer, more world football, that's fine. It's not a sport that we get a ton of traction on, except for every 4 years. It's one of those sports that we would like to incorporate a bit more in to the side, to the culture of this country. But it's been great, So now we're going to be looking at Croatia and England playing here coming up to tomorrow, and again, it's tomorrow at 2 p.m. Right? Broadcast should be on Fox, right? Is that on Fox? Is that on? Yeah. Where are they broadcasting that? Is it on Fox? It should be on Fox. I'm not certain, but it should be on Fox. It'll be on Fox or FS1, one of the two. It's a semifinals. So at 2 o'clock, at 2 o'clock Eastern time. So I'm looking forward to it. I will find a way to tune into it tomorrow. Actually, it's crazy. You don't have those a day-long meeting tomorrow, all day. Yeah, one of those. Yeah. So, but let me get over here. I'm gonna answer some questions here. I know a few people have called in. I appreciate those that call in. Number 347-237-5539. We can take calls within the first 2 hours of the show, but as I tell everybody each and every week, we're not guaranteed to take calls each and every show. There's certain portions of the show I try to get callers in on. You might be on hold for a little bit because the show is designed around the host and the co-host having a conversation and us talking. So we don't go to the phones very often. If you're on the line, hang in there. I try to get to the lines when it fits within the dialogue of the show. It's not like terrestrial radio where most of their show is predicated on taking phone calls. Do you know how much easier it is to do a show when you break every 12 to 13 minutes, 4 or 5 minutes, and take phone calls in between? You know how much easier it is to not talk 3 consecutive hours without commercial interruption? I'm telling you. It's funny. I've seen people that are very sports knowledgeable get in front of a mic and everything they want to say over the course of an hour, they spit it out in like 8 minutes and they're stuck. Listen, I'm over here, and somebody, man, how talking is it so hard to talk? I'm telling you, I'm not beating my own drum, but it's not simple to just have a conversation with listeners. Is not simple. And that's why a lot of people in radio take phone calls. I'm telling you, they're taking the phone call. It makes it easier because you have contributed to the content of the show. Again, I understand we just got done talking about user experience. That's good. We want that experience or interaction. Sorry, user interaction. We want that. That's why we have Spreaker. That's why we're on SoundCloud. That's why we're syndicated. You know, we want you to interact with the show. That's why we have social media. If you're on Blog Talk, if you go to Blog Talk, I can look here now, and I can look and I can see chats. And I can launch chats. I don't, because typing and talking and reading and doing multiple things like that at one time never works. I'm going to tell you, one of the biggest lies that people will tell you in an effort to talk about success, one of the biggest lies is multitasking. It's a myth. You cannot multitask. If you're someone who says, "Oh, I studied better when I have my music on," you have lied to yourself enough that you believe having additional content, words, being pushed into your brain while you're trying to digest words into your brain. It's literally like trying to take a drink from a straw, being shot in the face by a hose. You're going to get something in, but you're not going to be drinking all the water you want to. And you're going to get water in places you don't want while taking a drink. It's just not possible. Because the only way you can address multiple things is by going back and forth between them at one time. And it's inefficient. It is inefficient. People that think that in studies, in research, it shows those same people actually retain more information when not having the extra stimuli, noise applied to them. Because when you're doing something, this is how your brain works. If you had a tape recorder, right, a digital recorder, whatever, or you're recording on your phone or whatever it is, and it's windy, and there's a band playing in the background, and birds chirping, and you're talking, doesn't matter how close you get to that microphone. And again, even if you have a lavalier, you have a really good quality microphone, some of that stuff is going to get picked up. It's going to get in there. You cannot avoid it. It's happening. Right? It's getting recorded. That's the way your brain works. It records everything around you. What you're able to drown out and focus on, being able to drown out and focus on stuff is the hard part. And adding more stress around you doesn't make what you're doing less stressful. Just if you think that, you're wrong. Sorry to burst your bubble. It's just wrong. Multitasking is the biggest lie out there. So again, I try not to type while I'm talking because it doesn't come off well. You're not getting the best quality of either. I'm going to screw up what I'm typing. I'm going to sound goofy when I'm talking. That's the great thing about having a co-host. People don't realize that. It makes better listening, having conversation. You're having two people, more than one people. See, this is why, I mean, even with, like, for example, you take Rush Limbaugh. You hear he talks to Snurgly all the time. I don't even know if Snurgly exists. He may not even exist. He may not even be a real person. But it's a conversation with someone, even though you don't get to hear the feedback. I mean, we have those times with the producer on this show. You know, our producers here, I talk to them. They don't get a mic. They're not on-air talent. They're behind the scenes. They're supposed to make sure that sound bites run and that, stuff's being put out on social media, that content that I need to talk about is in front of me. That's what they do. They're producing the show. You know, creating the content for the show is my job. Narrating it, that's me. Okay? So for them to be talking, that's different. You hear that a lot on local radio, but that's because you have a host that wants to create better content, so they'll have a conversation with the producer that gets on the mic, and you see it in shows. The Dan Patrick Show is literally, that's what it is. He talks with his production crew. They're a part of the show. This show isn't set up that way. It's myself, it's Kevin, it's the callers, it's the guests. You know, that's who talks. The people that we've designed to be in front of the mic. Dan Patrick designed it to where his production crew is on the mic, is part of the show. And it's awesome. It's an awesome show. It's not all that different from, I think Howard Stern was kind of one of the first persons that did that. You know, he has other people that are a part of the show that are producers. You know, they are consistently having a conversation, and they're part of the show almost as much as a co-host is. It's a great platform for some. This show isn't designed that way. Sorry, guys. I love you guys, though. You're great. You do a great job. I talk crap. I talk crap. Oh, we're going to have them. We're getting a new producer. It's in love. It really is. It's out of love. But I digress. I look forward to seeing Croatia. Croatia's been one of those, one of the teams that have been one of the bigger underdogs of this entire tournament. But what they have done is just play some of the best teams and win. You know, let's go all the way. I mean, start out Sweden. That's 2014. Just this year. Why are you giving me old stuff? Setting me up. Mexico. They start off by beating Mexico. Right? Or they lost to Peru. Give me the right stuff. They lost to Peru 2-0. Then they beat Mexico. They lost to Brazil. They beat they beat Senegal. They beat Nigeria. They beat Argentina. They beat Ireland. They beat Denmark. They beat Russia. And again, you heard that right. They lost to Peru. Beat Mexico. Lost to Brazil. It's 2 losses. Beat Senegal. Beat Nigeria. So this particular group just end up being that competitive. You know? It was crazy. So they lost twice and still was able to move on to the 16, beat Argentina in Group D. Peru, are you sure on that? Okay, so Peru, they lost to Peru, but that was back in March, okay? 2-0. They beat Mexico in March. Again, this is how they get qualified for the World Cup. Okay, so their first match in, they lose to Brazil 2-0 in the World Cup. Thanks for laying this out for me. You just gave me 28. So this is the point where, I say I'm going to fire the producer and get a new one. Now, I look goofy. I do. If I just keep talking, I know that people are probably not going to recognize it. I'm just saying. That's all. They lose to Brazil 2-0. They end up beating Senegal, beating Nigeria, beating Argentina, and Ireland to cap off Group D. So they end up 4-1 in Group D. In the round of 16, they tied Denmark and win on penalty kicks. All right. Then in the quarterfinals, they tie again with Russia and win again on penalty kicks. Now in the semifinals against England, a team that their fate hasn't been all that different. They started out in Group G by beating Tunisia, smearing Panama, losing to Belgium. They tied with Colombia in the round of 16, winning in penalty kicks, beating Sweden 2-0 in the quarterfinals. So if you look over their last 3 games, you're probably going to get a goal out of them. This could end up in a 1-1, 2-2 tie, and again go to penalty kicks. So it will be very interesting. So, and just to kind of look forward, so in August, Sweden, England, this team will go to Sweden and play, and then England will come to the U.S. in November and play. I play a friendly. I don't know where they're playing. It says Wembley. How is that? Is it backwards too? So the U.S. goes to Wembley and they play, and they'll host Sweden. King Power Stadium. I don't know which is which. Anyways, there's a lot to really wrap heads around going forward. So we're going to see France play against either England or Croatia. France was my favorite, the team that I favored to win it. Just very talented. And again, today's match with Belgium, you can really see where the talent and the speed of France just was able to get an edge on the experience of Belgium. So that's really what it was. A well-placed header in a game that otherwise didn't really see ton of quality shots on goal. Very defensive, a lot of ball movement, a lot of fun soccer. Some penalties again in the semifinals. Usually, if you get 2 red cards, you're out for the next match. They don't do that in the semifinals. You get 2 red cards or 2 yellow cards. You're still in. You're still in like Flint. So, it was a very, very fun game. So I look forward to tomorrow at 2:00, being able to see that match between Croatia and England go down. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. But that's all I have for you here this week on the Cold Hard Truth on Sports. So be sure to go over to the website, thechtonsports.com. Follow the show on social media at the CHT on Sports. You can follow me at Matt Long Sports, anywhere on social media as well. So thank you all for tuning in. Again, go download the Spreaker app. Follow us on Spreaker. Thank you all, and I am out.